Right, year 9. A couple of people have struggled with the assessment, or you're about to if you haven't done it yet. Whole point being, we've just tweaked ever so slightly what you're doing this term because of the extraordinary circumstances. So we thought we'd go back to the language skills you've been doing since year 7. Now this paper, it follows the same format of the assessments you've done in year 7, year 8, early on in year 9. It's an extract from a story, from a piece of fiction, and then the 4 questions. Now we want you to do the reading section at the moment. You can look at the writing section because you probably worked out you're going to get that at the end of next half term, so you can start to think about it. So you got the paper. This is an actual GCSE paper. The reason I chose it is because it was a little bit tricky, and if you can get your head around this one, then basically anything they give you will be easy, really. So the first tip, which tell you what we'll do, sticky note for that. If I just get rid of all my notes. So tip 1. Read all questions before starting. As you can, because that'll do. As you'll see, each of the questions I want to do something very different. And if you read all 4 questions before you even start, you'll be thinking ahead to the harder one at the end. So question 1, read again the first part of the source from lines 1 to 5. List 4 things about Rosabel. Now, as long as you use a full sentence, so it's written including the subject, so either mention her name or she, you can get 4 marks very easily. But the main thing to remember about that is it's 4 things about her, because when we go down to question 2, look in detail at the extract from line 6 to 14. A lot of students, they read this and they actually forget this bottom bit. How does the writer use language here to describe Rosabel's bus journey home? It's actually about her bus journey, not her. And what a lot of students did at the time was they basically focused on her again, and they forgot the bus journey bit. You've already spoken about Rosabel in question 1, so you always need to be back in your mind thinking, well, exam board are going to ask me about something else because they've already tested me on that one thing. And if question 1 is just a simple retrieval exercise, what questions, can you just select 4 bits of information? And question 2 is going to ask you to do something different. And in this case, it's how does the writer use language? So the focus on the question is how are they using things like metaphors, similes, adjectives, adverbs, all those sorts of things. Lists, maybe exotic language, and you have to explain the effect. Question 3, you know you've done about the language and you know you've retrieved simple facts. When you go to question 3, you need to think about the whole source. How has the writer structured the text to interest you as a reader? So immediately, anything you talked about in question 2, you know isn't relevant. You've got to talk about the structure. And then question 4, the big one. From this part of your answer to the second part, a student said, this part of the story is set in a hat shop, shows a red-headed girl has many advantages in life, and I think Rosabel is right to be angry. To what extent do you agree? Well, that is about the methods. It's about the big methods. Question 1 is simply, can you find information? Question 2 is more, why is the writer chosen in those words for what effect? Question 3 is in the order they've put it in and to create effect, and then question 4 is the big things. So you do a lot of work in lessons about what's the metaphor, what's the simile, what's the adjective, but things like characters, setting, symbolism, and the way people talk. Is there a running joke or running theme? These are the big methods, and that's what question 4 is about. So if we go back to question 1, by the way, I don't know if you've realised you could pause this at any point if you actually want to look at stuff. So, or stop it. Question 1. There's 4 things about Isabel, but only from lines 1 to 5. So we'll get lines 1 to 5 in a lesson or in the exam. You'd always have your highlighter. So there we go. Can we have 4 things about her? Rosabel bought a bunch of violets, and that was practically the reason why she had so little tea. For a scone and a boiled egg and a cup of cocoa were not sufficient after a hard day's work in a hat shop. So there's a few things there. She's bought flowers from Oxford Circus. So as long as it's a full sentence, remember. There we go. 2. She is in Oxford Circus. You could put London if you know that. Right, so that's just 2 simple things about her. And I've put the word she is to show that I know the subject. The next 2, I suggest you have a go yourself, but they're fairly obvious. Where does she work? What's she doing? Is she hungry? That sort of thing. What you don't want to do is, here it says, grabbed her skirt with one hand and clung to the railing with the other. A lot of students said things like she's scared about the bus or she's off balance. You could say that, but you're sort of inferring, and this isn't an infer question, it's just 4 things about her, so keep it simple. She got on the bus, she grabbed us. So it's very simple sentences. Question 2. How does Wright choose language to describe a bus journey? Now they give you the extract on the paper, or you can just use the extract in front of you. I'm going to use the exam paper here because it'll just be clearer. So how does the Wright choose language? So Rosabel looked out the windows. The street was blurred and misty. I'm going to highlight that. Just because I think, well, there's a reason for that. I don't know what yet, but light striking on the panes turned their dullness to opal and silver. Oh, it's a bit of a weird use of language. And the jeweller's shop seen through and this were fairy palaces. Her feet were terribly wet, and she knew the bottom of her skirt and petticoat would be coated with black, greasy mud. Horribly, adverb, stands out. She knew the bottom of her skirt and petticoat would be coated with black, greasy mud. That's quite a strong, vivid description. There's a sickening smell of warm humanity. Sickening smell, well, there's a couple of things going on there with the sibilants. It seemed to be oozing out of everyone in the bus. Oozing is one of those horrible words. And everybody had the same expression, sitting so still, staring in front of them. Rosabel stirred suddenly. Oh, again, a bit of sibilance. And unfastened the 2 top buttons of her coat. She felt almost stifled. Through her arm, and I'm going to put that. She's unfastening the buttons of her coat, which means she must be very uncomfortable. A whole row of people in the opposite seat seemed to resolve into one meaningless, staring face. So, you've only got to lines 16 and 14. Question is about the bus journey. Now, it's worth 8 marks if we look there. So, you're talking you see a lot of revision guides will say things like do 4 good points explained, you get 2 marks for a point. You might get some revision guides that will say you pick out 3 things and you fully explain them, and you do Peter, petal, a long P. There's all these different models, but fundamentally you are explaining what the writer's choice of language or sentence forms or techniques is for and why. So what I would do, you don't have to do this, so to start question 2, question is about the bus journey. Instead of going straight into I'm going to do 4 P points, point, evidence, explanation, that's very repetitive. In order to get anywhere near top marks, you start with a very general point, and a classic skill of a child in an English exam that you need is the ability to rephrase the question. So, sorry about the lines, don't know why it's doing that. Her bus journey home is very so about my typing, it's very uncomfortable, unpleasant, which is different to uncomfortable, and made worse by the riches she is taken away from. Right. So I'm just trying to sum up just generally what's going on in that passage. So the bus journey is not nice, but also, as well as all the horrible words, if you ever see that there's a mixture, so in this case they're mentioning silver and fairy palaces with all this other stuff, you need to mention that. You need to mention, well, hang on, there's a mixture. And it's because he's trying to make the point that Rosabel is in a horrible, smelly packed bus being taken away from all the nice things, because she obviously lives far away in not very nice conditions. So that's got a blue line. All right, it doesn't really matter, it's screen paper. So her journey is sad as the beautiful, I presume fairy palaces are beautiful. You never know, some of them might be evil fairies. As the beautiful fairy palaces become blurred. Oh, right. In the distance. Right. Now, what I haven't done there is what a lot of you would be tempted to do, to put the metaphor fairy palaces is effective, because you need to get out of the habit of stating the obvious. You need to trust yourself to be able to mention it later. A really good technique is, after you've written anything, particularly in the situation or you're at home, you're not in the classroom, is read it out loud, and you'll know straight away if it sounds less articulate or less sort of fluent, because it'll sound like a 4 or 5 year old. So I'm trying to tell you a story, and it's like, they did this and they did that, and I said, and we don't breathe, and that's unfortunately the way a lot of people write, even up to adults. So a journey is sad as the beautiful fairy palaces come blurred in the distance. This metaphor shows us how wonderful, or amazing, or whatever you want to call it, how wonderful the area around. You might not know it's in London, so you get away with putting Oxford Circus. Oxford Circus is, and the bus journey is sad because it takes away from, oh my, what takes away from it. Alright, so I've explained it and I've explained the effect. You know, the reason I mentioned fairy palaces and blurred is because they're trying to say, look, she's trying to look through the windows, and it's, if you really want to be clever, the last bit, as well, a lot of students, and you know, you are year 9, but some of you are very bright, and you know, some of you in all the groups are very perceptive. Explain it, like I have done there in Beautiful Fairy Desk on Bird in the Distance. Explain it again. The metaphor becomes a wonderful, the area around Oxford circuses and the bus journey site it takes away from it. Explain it again. Like, keep explaining it until you have got nothing else to say, and then go on to the next point. Too many of you, I'd rather you did that than what's happening at the moment is you almost got a list in your head of, I need to mention all of those things I've highlighted, and you really try and mention them all because you're very good at highlighting, you're very good at identifying things actually as a year group, but you're so keen to then show us that you forget the explaining bit. So the bit I would say is bus journey is very sad, it takes away from it. So the violets are in the first bit, I maybe won't mention that. The blurred windows making it seem like a dream, as if she may not be able to come back. Right? So I would do that. If you look at the way I've used the integrated quotes, they're not big quotes. I haven't said in the quote because I don't need to. The quote marks do that for me. You know, it's telling the reader and the examiner, look, I'm using a bit of the text. So I'd start with that. Obviously the font is, it's typed, so it's quite small. So I would then go back into the extract and I'd say it is very uncomfortable though, because as well as being horribly wet, which is a really harsh adverb, she also can't sit anywhere and things like that. So you go back in and do that for the rest of the extract. Alright? Now I think I'll stop there and I'll do question 3 and 4 in a second video because I'm not sure how long it is.